Yeah.
All
Whoa.
right.
First of all, I want to say thank you once again for honoring this
Mm.
invitation. And it's actually going to be, I'm even happy because it's men. So people can hear from the men's side, because usually there's this perspective that people have about men that, we understand how this thing goes in the society, and that they expect the woman to always endure. And then if you go to church as well, church promotes woman submission. In fact, that thing, submission, it has been abused, even though that's not what it means. At least to the understanding I have about the Bible, that's not what submission is. Submission is not you giving up on yourself or forgetting your thinking faculty and not using your brain because you are married. Because it seems as though many of us women, it's like once we say I do, that I do just means drop your brain and start going. So, and then if as time goes on, the brain now start acting like I'm here, please use me. Then the men start getting angry and they start attacking, saying things like, this is not the woman I married. You have to listen to me. And then they will not start hammering on the word submission. Then, if unfortunately, because it's beginning to feel that way, you are from a Christian, they will not carry that part in the Bible. I think it's in Ephesians. Women are to submit to their own husband, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, most women want to obey the Bible. And, it's actually, as I know, it's not, I'm not sure it's something we can overcome just like that, but a little bit here, a little bit there, I'm sure we'll be able
Okay.
to enlighten so many people. And I'm so happy that this time around we are going to hear from the men's perspective so they can understand that this thing called domestic violence in marriage is not what marriage should be, and it is not something to be endured, because obviously it's going to affect you in the long run. And it's something that at the end of the day, if you don't take a walk, a part of you is going to die. Even if you may seem alive, something is definitely going to die inside of you. So yes, thank you so much. So yeah, I've opened the ground now. So first of all, before I start with my questioning, please, what do you have to say about domestic violence? I think Victor Ebe should go first, then Honora will follow.
Okay,
Okay.
this is the focus on domestic violence or abuse generally.
It's domestic violence, but definitely abuse generally, actually. Abuse generally in terms of psychology, physical violence, psychological abuse, financial abuse, the controlling part, everything that has to do
Okay.
with someone losing their rights as a human being
Yeah.
altogether.
And because
Okay.
domestic violence, as in physical abuse, is very easy to detect. I
Yes.
mean, it's so obvious.
Mm.
Like there is nothing hidden. You don't need any extra ability to know that you're being abused physically.
Abuse.
So which is why it's
Yeah.
the other types of abuse are worse than it, because those ones they can be hidden and you can be
Mm.
going through them and
Mm.
people won't know that you are dying silently. So
Yeah.
I think
Mm.
when we address domestic violence, we need to also pay attention to those ones. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Okay. Okay. How about you, Nora?
Yeah, he's actually right. It's true that physical violence is very obvious. You see, the truth is, in most cases, unless the couple go out of their way to hide the bruises, like wearing sunshades and wearing,
Makeup.
clothes that will cover any marks and makeup and all that, unless that happens, you will
Yes.
clearly see when someone is being physically abused. It's so obvious. He's very right. The ones that
Yes.
you don't see are the ones that are mental and emotional,
Mm.
and those
Yes.
are the ones that affect the psyche. Those are the ones that will wound you so much that you can even begin to accept the physical beating,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes even prefer it, because you're like, at least
Yes.
you've beat me, don't finish, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to the one that you beat me with the
Yes.
words and the attitude, and I suffer through it for a very long time.
Long time.
So whichever of the two it is, anyway, the bottom line is that abuse is unjustifiable. That's just all I want to say, regardless of the people involved, in quotes, circumstances,
Yes.
because people like to say, the circumstances depend on, what
Mm.
did she say, how did
Mm-hmm.
this happen. It can never be justified.
Yes.
Okay. You are
Yes.
talking about
Yes.
another human being, So that's just what I want to contribute first. There's no justification for it, and
Okay.
abuse is very vast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Personally, I no longer refer to myself as a victim, but I was once a victim of abuse. I was in a very abusive marriage
Okay.
for almost 7 to 8 years. I left in 2018, and
Wow.
it was really my recovery phase was like roller coaster. At this moment, I feel I'm recovering. The next moment is like I'm back again, and then I'm up, and then I'm down. So it has been up and down until in February. I had to go for real counseling, and I had to talk about everything. And that was when I realized that there are some things I actually blocked from my memory during about the abuse. And by the time I had to
Okay.
recount it took away my sleep for days. So I understand my own kind of abuse. It was only the physical part of it was just about 3 times. It was mostly financial, psychological, emotional, and mental and verbal. I was called different names. I was so when I am talking, I'll be talking from someone who have experienced this, so that those who are watching can understand that I've been through it, so they can at least resonate that okay, this woman understands. I deliberately want to talk about this now, so they will know that I'm not just
Okay.
asking question from idea or from knowledge, but at least from experience. Because um, I remember when I tried to first run away. I told church people, and church people were like, be more submissive, pray for him, never say no, don't say. I'm talking of time when I was pregnant. Never say no to him if you want sex. Don't do it. Like it was more like I was pregnant and taking care of a baby in a adult body. I do the washing, I do the ironing, I do everything, I do
Okay.
the cooking, and I was getting drained. I got depressed in the process, and yet they were telling me to continue. So I'm telling you this so you can have a little bit of understanding about my journey, because really some women want to leave, but because of the society or what church, because we can't deny the fact that in church there's this tendency to always want you to paint it like prayer is answering, when actually what you should do is to move. Pastors will tell you to go and pray, God is going
Mm.
to answer, maybe you're not praying enough. So basically these are the things that a lot of women are facing, and that is their reality. Even if as much as we want to tell them just move, there's that conditioning that has happened in their mind that would hinder them from taking the step, and then the fear of unknown. So okay, now let me go to the questions. The first question is, what are the signs that a person is abusive? That's the red flags, what you think. Especially, maybe we can start from when they are courting, the things you can watch out for to know if someone is going to be an abusive partner, or maybe they're just acting it or something. Some people say when someone is looking too kind, be suspicious of the person. But I feel it may not be right in every way. Some people can just be kind, and it doesn't mean they are evil. You understand? So I want you to please answer what are the red flags, because looks sometimes cannot define a person. You understand? So, what do you think are the red flags people should watch out for when in a relationship or even in their marriage? If they are still, because some people are being abused, but they don't know, because they have been brainwashed to feel it is normal, to
True.
think it is okay. So, what are the things that if it's happening in the marriage, they should understand that you are being abused? So that way they come to that knowledge, and because when you know, then you start taking steps, because some people don't know.
Fine. The first thing is for you to even know that you're being abused, you should know what abuse is first. You know, having that knowledge is the first thing you should do, so you'll be able to, identify abuse when it starts. Um, Talking about physical abuse, some people think it's only when you slap them or beat them up or hit them that it's physical abuse, but that's not accurate. If you threaten to hit somebody, it is part of physical abuse.
Hmm.
If you throw things, even if those things, what you throw doesn't get to the person, it is still physical abuse.
Hmm.
Hitting the person, slapping the person, punching the person, hitting your fist somewhere on the wall or something like something that puts fear in the person is still physical abuse. Now, you know,
Yeah.
even in law, there is assault and then there is battery. Assault is the threat to do battery. So battery is when you use the actual physical force on the person, while assault is the threat. So in physical abuse, even threatening somebody, saying I'm going to hit you now, that's actually part of, you know, the abuse. We've already done it because in counseling, I see some women when I try to do evaluation for them, you know, about abuse, and they start saying, "But he doesn't hit me." I've said that's not enough. Let me ask you the
That's
question
actually
that,
one of the things that made me stay long.
you know, I'll ask you, have he ever threatened to? Has he broken something in the house? He doesn't have to hit you directly. Has he broken your phone? Has he broken, you know, a television or a property? Even if he's the one that bought that property, it is still physical abuse. It has the same effect. See, your brain will not be able to differentiate from when he actually hits you and when he threatens to hit you. The point is that that fear will be created, the trauma
Yes.
be experienced. So women need to know this first, so that when you see these behaviors, these antisocial behaviors, you know that this is abuse. You know, so that's the first step. But like you know, you're talking about being in a relationship, because it's going to be difficult for you to just see a random person and be able to say, okay, this person
Yeah.
is an abusive person or not. You know, because these things, they don't show on the face most times, and you might be wrong. You identify abuse through interaction. And when I mean interaction, I don't mean just verbal interaction. The way when you relate, that's when you can identify abuse. First, you have to look out for how the person talks to you. If somebody talks to you disrespectfully, that's already verbal abuse, and it can lead to physical abuse. Because most times when they cannot control you first, if they cannot subdue you, if they can exert that influence, or what you call undue influence over you verbally, then they try to add physical force to it. That's how most people move from verbal abuse to physical abuse. They first of all, they try to control you with verbal abuse. If it doesn't work that way, they will now, you know, get to the physical abuse. And of course, physical abuse, verbal abuse, they are all connected to psychological abuse and emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Some men, if they're abusing you verbally, they feel like you're getting through. They try the emotional abuse, they still feel like you're getting through. Then they try psychological abuse, and it's still like you're still surviving. Then they get physical. You know, they get mad and then they get physical. So as a woman, you need to first of all watch how he talks to you. That's the first sign. How does he talk to you? Does he shut you up? You know, is he explosive in anger? When women say he has anger issues, if he has anger issues, he should go for therapy. You know, because when a man is always explosive in anger, that's abuse. He's using that his anger as a means, as a tool to control you, how you feel. The aim is to put fear in you so that he can always have his way. So because you want peace, you don't want to experience that anger. Anytime he threatens to act angrily, you know, give him his way. So these are stuff that you need to really, really look out for when you're relating with somebody. Because if these behaviors are obvious, they are present in your relationship, you are dealing with an abuser.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, you actually made so many valid points there. Okay, over to you, Nora.
Okay. When you talk about signs, as has been rightly said, in the first place, you definitely be talking about people that are already relating together. You know, most likely in a relationship, of course. But then I also want to sound a note of caution, so to speak, because sometimes even when you're not in a relationship, you might have, as in a romantically inclined relationship, you might actually have some platonic association with some guy or the other, and he's also displaying certain types of controlling and intimidating behavior. The truth is, a lot of guys, and it pains me to say this, but it's a reality we have in the world today. A lot of guys have this very wrong notion of what manliness is. So they think manliness means that they are supposed to be intimidating to other men and especially women. So they have this domineering attitude that is taken way out of control. Okay, I'm a man, for goodness sake. I love the idea that I can step into a situation or be at the office or work from home or something, and I'm able to, not because I'm a man, of course, because I'm a human being that's mature. I love the fact that I can sit down and take control of something, organize it, make it work, fix it. But then you have the bad part where these guys come in. They then think that number one is because they are men that they can do all these things and women can't do it. That's the first problem. Then the second problem is they take it a step further to try and control and dominate people. So it becomes really horrible. So you can actually even see a man and a woman that are just friends. There's been no declaration of intent. There's no romantic inclination, and yet you find the man trying to dominate the lady, to make her choices for her. Maybe they go out to lunch over a lunch break, and then the next thing he's like, why are you eating this kind of soup? Won't it make you fat? My friend, eat something else. And then he tells the waiter to change her order. And then you'll be like,
and he's so
boss, calm. He's so exactly. He's so salty. You'll be like, boss, calm down. It's my fat, not your fat.
That's psychological abuse. Yes.
Exactly. You have men that do this, and then like Victor rightly said, it graduates. You rarely, okay, no, let me not say you rarely. That won't be entirely true, but more often than not, you find out that it graduates into the physical.
It's a process, yes.
It's a process. It starts from how they are thinking about you. They're already thinking about you as subhuman. You're not smart enough. You're not classy enough. You're not special. You're nothing on that level
like
to them.
Property.
Do you understand? In fact, it's so bad. I've had a guy that I was counseling, and I say this out of concern, not because I'm trying to mock him, because thankfully at least he's in a better space now. But as at then, he would often talk to me about how he doesn't know if he wants to continue his relationship. And the way he would talk about this girl was so disparaging, as in, I felt bad. I felt as if I was the one being talked about. It was bad. I mean,
wow.
You're like, oh, she's so silly. She doesn't have sense. I'm like, calm down. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, she doesn't process information well. I wish she could. Do you understand? There's a way you talk about a person that tells me you are referring to the issue now, and not that you are trying to demean the person. For every statement, like she's stupid, she's silly, she doesn't have sense. I was like, look, dude, you clearly don't love this woman. That's number one. That's a fact. Let's not even try and sugarcoat it. You don't love this woman. You have no affection for her, and you don't understand what it is to lovingly correct somebody or properly address situations. So while you think the problem is her, the problem is actually you. Because even if she has problems assessing things and properly responding, it's something that anybody can easily work on if you begin to give them encouragement and show them how. But your problem is worse, because your problem is a case of demeaning her and abusing her. And until you stop that, the reality is no matter what she does, it won't be good enough.
It won't be good enough.
So these are signs that we need to look out for. How do they assess you? What do they think about you? How do they rate you, so to speak? Do they see you as intelligent or something stupid and dismissible? Do they see you as somebody worth their time? Another thing that you find that some guys do is the issue of time. People will often say it that when you care about somebody, you give them, your time. When something matters to you, you give it your time.
Yes.
You find out that some people will psychologically abuse you because they want you to be hungry for their time. So they will starve you of attention. You'll be begging this guy, I've not heard from you for 2 months. What's happening? I'm busy, please. This is when I'm in the mood, I'll call you. You're bugging me. So this lady is desperately trying to get his attention and his love And his desire all this while is to starve her of it, so that she's so desperate, she's malleable in his hands. So regardless of what he's saying or doing to her, she's accepting because she just desperately wants this attention. You know, others do it in another. There's another one that really we need to fix in Nigeria is financial abuse.
Yes.
We need to fix this problem in Nigeria, because you find out that there are guys who have this idea, first of all, that the man must have the money and control the money. So the woman must be begging. You know, she's on her knees begging for what she needs, even for their children. You see men that would enjoy when the woman comes and kneels down and begs, and it's like, oh baby, please, the children are hungry, and he feels this authority that, yes, I'm a man, I'm showing her that I'm strong. So these things are subtle, and if you are not careful, you let yourself be taken in, and the abuse will just continue and get worse and worse and worse. And then, like Victor said, one day you will get hit. You won't even know it's coming if you're not careful. You won't even know it's coming. It will just happen one day. Maybe you just talk back and you're like, baby, but the kids are hungry now, and then you're just hit once, twice. And then once you do nothing about that first one, more is coming.
It's going to come. Yes. I can attest to that. It's something I experienced. Mine started with every other one: financial control, emotional abuse, verbal abuse. Then the day the physical one was coming, I was not even expecting it. I was meant to go to work, and suddenly it was like, you're not going anywhere. And next thing I saw is somebody pushed me, and I almost hit my head on the wall, and the beating continued for 3 hours. It took a break for like 1 to 2 hours, and continued again for another 3 hours, making 6 hours. I couldn't move for like 4 days. I couldn't move my body. Then I didn't instead of me to go and report to the authorities, I didn't. So that now empowered him, and he thought, and again, I didn't even understand the UK system then. I was also afraid. Many things were going on in my head. It was a shock. So I kept quiet about it. Then he stopped the physical abuse and increased every other form of abuse. I was working. By the time they are paying my salary, before I even wake up in the night, the money is gone. Fiam. So I can boldly say that, yes, everything you said is true, because that was how mine as well started. So yeah, it starts little by little, more like they are testing you. Once you keep quiet, they bring another stage, and like that it keeps growing. Okay, let's go to the next question, because our time is going. I think we've even answered that. I was going to ask, aside physical violence, what other things can be classified as abuse? We've answered that. So the next one will be,
hold on. We didn't add, there is sexual abuse. We didn't add that.
Yes.
Because in the same vein that we talk about financial abuse.
Yeah, true.
You know, deprivation, infidelity, bringing in STDs, they all fall under sexual abuse.
Wow.
You are not available for sex with your partner, but you are available for sex with other people. Because your partner will not be willing to go out because your partner wants to protect the sanctity of marriage. You're abusing that partner, and then the selfishness that comes with sex. You are not interested in her satisfaction. You just want to have sex for yourself. And then, of course, consent. Most people think in marriages they are
the one Nigerians don't want to hear.
They are not all right.
Oh my goodness.
Your partner has a right to give or to withdraw consent. So if you have sex without that consent, it is still sexual abuse. So it's important. Women need to know this, because having this knowledge is very, very important. Else, they will just be going through abuse and they won't know that they're experiencing abuse. Because I've had to deal with somebody who was walking out of a marriage, and she said, my husband is a good man. And I was like, a good man? So he's a good man.
Where are you living?
Yeah. I know women walk away from good men, like that's true.
Yeah.
But in that, it has to be that the woman is the abuser. But in this case, you are not the abuser. You are claiming that the man. So we have to do some evaluation. And I realized that most of the things that are abuse she didn't see them as abuse. It took time. And when she realized that all these years she's been going through abuse, the man is a narcissist, so a church narcissist. So they hide abuse in their fake spirituality. So he was abusing her and that she was being abused. So it's a terrible thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sure people are getting enlightenment from this, because there are many things that are happening to many people that they don't even know that they are being abused. Like in my own case as well, I didn't see it. In fact, the only thing I first saw as abuse was the beating. Meanwhile, I couldn't call my family. My mom was sick. I dare not call my mom. My mom died. I cannot even go for a burial. Like they had to bury her without me, and I'm the only child. I wasn't there. He was called. He insulted the person that called. But I didn't see it then as abuse. I was like, let me be patient. Let me be patient. Let me be calm. Then at some point I was thinking maybe I'm the one. There's that tendency to think maybe I'm the one. Maybe I'm the one causing it. So I started trying to adjust, fit in, but I kept on trying. But the more I try, it's more like once your hand is about touching the thing is just removed, and then another journey to catch it again. So it is actually, I don't know, it's very, very daunting, and it's not a good experience. At least remembering it, I'm always like, wow, how did I even go through that? Sometimes I like, can I rewind it so I can correct it by doing the right thing? But then it has happened. So I'm hoping that those who are watching now and will still watch would get to understand that so many things they don't know are abuse are actually abuse. Okay, so the next question is, why do women who are being abused remain in the marriage while painting to the world that their marriage is perfect? I will come up with my husband, my sweetheart, my this, but I was being dealt with. So can you give us explanation on why we do this thing?
First of all, it's a psychological. That's one. Then the other part is socialization. We socialize women here first to see marriage as the most important thing in their lives. So women will go to any length to keep their marriages, whether they are abusive or not. Secondly, they don't want to be seen as failure. So, and women actually use marriage as a bragging right amongst themselves. You understand? So, which is why you see some women shame other women for not being married.
Being married.
So you don't want to now after shaming people for not being married. You don't want to come out and say you have a bad marriage. No, you won't say. You will enjoy it. You will enjoy your abuse. You don't want to. This is what. But not all women are guilty of this. Some are because yes, they don't have support system. They don't have a family to go to. They talk to family. Family is saying stay back there. They talk to church saying stay back there. They decide to say okay.
People start professing also. People start professing positively.
If I'm a bit more patient, if I pray more, this thing will work out fine. Then the class of people, the ones who come publicly to eulogize the man. It's these ones. I really need to study them. I need to go to Harvard to study because what is wrong with them?
I did it to some extent, actually. I did it, and I think the reason I was doing it was because I was open with it to make him change.
Because I'm here and I'm thinking of people that I know that have actually done that. Like you are in my inbox now talking about your problem, and the next day you're making a post celebrating the man. No, you don't.
I've seen that many times.
You can afford not to even talk. I know a woman that the husband will beat up because of meat, beef that you need extra calcium to digest. Ordinary beef.
Hey God!
You're sitting with a man, and the man will say, "Why did you take meat before me?" And then he will beat her to pop. I will see this come to Facebook, and he's saying the best thing that has ever happened to me.
I didn't go to that extent.
It's a problem. Then, of course, there is also the Stockholm Syndrome concept. Some of them are just addicted to abuse. They've developed addiction. Is it such women? If you a normal guy, if you get involved with them, they will abuse you because they have become addicted to abuse. Abuse to offer them. Yeah, they are not going to be okay with you. They are the type that you're dating, and if everything is okay, if there is peace, they will be bored. They want drama. They want adrenaline. So they will try to look for trouble so that there will be fight. In fact, if you don't hit them, they think you're not okay. You understand? You see, those are even the women who are quick to start saying, this guy is so gentle, he's so nice. That means there is something he's hiding. They are speaking from a mindset that has been messed up. That's where they are speaking from. You understand? So it's a product of their experiences and all of that. And of course, when we talk about Stockholm Syndrome, there's also the extra twist to it. There's also the trauma bonding thing. He treats you 99%, and then 1% he treats you nice. So because of your willingness to see the best in him, you will always forget the 99 and keep looking forward to that one. In fact, 1%. you always, when he's abusing you now, you always be like, I can't wait for this abuse to end so that he will treat me nice 1 hour. That sort of thing. So these are some of the things that, when women look at them, they just want to stay back because first, they are just victims of the whole situation, or victims of society, what society will say, or even victims of family and all of that. And I need to tell you this: if you are the victim going through abuse and you don't have support system, you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. You don't see anything that will motivate you to go away. You will just tell yourself that it's like, this is my destiny. Maybe I should just stay. If I die, I die. Because you're not seeing any way out. I've seen people that it was when I spoke with them, they actually saw that they could walk out from an abusive marriage, and they had all the support, because the major support you can ever have is the one you give to yourself, your ability to be able to provide at least for yourself, which is why when you're walking out of a marriage, the fundamental thing that you need is, first, you need shelter, and then you need a source of livelihood. The will to walk away, you can even get that through therapy. But you see, you need shelter because you need not to sleep under Ojueleba. Then you need something to do that will give you money so that you can feed and take care of yourself and your children, as the case may be. But if you don't have these things I mentioned, it becomes a bit difficult. Yet, in all of that, I know that when a woman is determined to stay alive, when her self-preservation is a priority, it doesn't matter how much she has. I have seen women who walked out of marriages with 50 naira, 50, no shelter, no job, but they shall run away. They wanted to stay alive, So the first thing is, do they really want to go? What are the factors influencing them? Who are the people that they are listening to? Who are the people that speak to them? These are stuff that you need to pay attention to, because if you're listening to the wrong people, if you're in the midst of the wrong people, you have parents, like especially mothers. I know I've written about it, that a mother weighs excessive influence over her daughter. If your mother tells you walk out of that marriage, it's abusive, you will run out because she has that influence. If your mother says stay back in that abusive marriage, you will stay. It will take a lot for you to say, no, I'm not going to listen to you, even though you're my mother, I'm going to work. So that's
Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Nora.
Okay, for me, the aspect I want to focus on is one of the parts that he referred to, where the lady is staying because of she's a victim of what is happening to her. A lot of people, and I'm saying this not just for just anybody, I'm saying this as for Christians as well, because a lot of Christians don't seem to understand the psychological parts of life. They tend to think they downplay these things, so it's just like
they spiritualize everything.
it's just like the issue of depression now. I've seen so many Christians who come out and tell you that, oh, if you are praying enough, you can't be depressed.
Mm.
Yeah.
And those things bug me a lot. I've pastored for years and I've never taught that rubbish. So when I see people say it, I'm like, I don't know where you got that thing from. But it's not from where I got my own. So in the same way, when it comes to the psychological effect of abuse, you see a lot of Christians tend to downplay it. They're like, if you just pray, then this can happen, and then that will happen, and then this will be the result. A lot of ladies are saying that because, like we established in the beginning, this thing has been a gradual process.
Yes.
So their minds have not been conditioned to accept abuse. There are women right now that if you try to liberate them, they will fight you.
Yes.
They will abuse you, they will embarrass you, they'll call you a home breaker, whereas their homes are already broken. They'll call you a home breaker, they'll call you all sorts of unprintable names because they have already accepted that this is it. So if you like, shout, bring megaphone, do all you are wasting your time. They will go nowhere. It's the reality. And it's so painful to see. There was this particular case. I'll give you an instance. This one really touches me personally because this is somebody that I knew. I've not spoken to her in a while, so I don't even know. I think she's even off social media now. Can't even get her on the phone or anything. So I don't even know what the current situation is. So we got talking, and like we established at the beginning, sometimes you don't even know the abuse is going on. You won't know because you're outside, unless some of these people show you. So she began to explain everything to me, and I was stunned. I was like, "You've been going through this abuse for years. Are you serious?" And everything. And then, to my surprise, after we've talked, and I've literally helped you map out a plan. I come on Facebook, and then I see her extolling the virtues of her husband. See, I swear, if I had not been told by this very lady, it's funny now when you think about it, you get. But if you imagine yourself at that moment, you actually get up. You get up, you go and wash your face, and you come back and read the post again because you're like, no, I didn't see well, maybe I'm sleeping or something. This lady was extolling the virtues of her husband. He's awesome. He's amazing. He's this. He's unforgettable. And I was like, wow. You just told me and even showed me pictures and video of your bruising. Okay, so this wasn't an opinion. You showed me. You also put me in touch with people that corroborated your story. Okay, so this wasn't just you. Now you understand what I'm saying. Now you fulfilled the law of burden of proof beyond measurable doubts. You get, and I'm seeing you 2 days later on Facebook praising the guy. What the hell are you doing? Wow. This man will get the impression that this thing doesn't matter. I can do more, and she's going to praise me tomorrow. Do you understand? I don't know where people get this thing from. That psychology, it it happens. There are people that are so mentally and emotionally broken right now. They are walking dead and they don't even know. They're not living, they are just merely existing because their mental faculties are not at it's not working. It's not the way it should be. Emotionally, they are broken. Just like Peter said, you know that there are people that expect you to abuse them. There are people that expect you to fight them. If you don't love them. It means there's something wrong with you. You are pretending, you're a fake, you're this. I literally knew somebody that I was once interested in for a relationship, and I kid you not. One of the reasons this lady said no is because she said I'm too nice. And this is not a joke. I'm very, very serious here. As in, I'm not joking. She said it, I'm too nice. And I thought that's my crime. Okay. All right.
They are not suspicious of those people who are good to them. And then they give benefit of doubt to abusers.
Yes. She was like, I was like, okay, wait, though. You understand? Like, I didn't beat you. I didn't abuse you. I didn't do anything to you. I've been nice and courteous from day one. And I told you from the start what I'm interested in. I didn't tell you, oh, I want to marry you, whereas all I want to do is take you to bed. As in, I've been playing from beginning. but I'm too nice.
Hey,
Okay,
It's
my
not
sister, I
her,
respected myself. Oh.
it's not her fault. She doesn't have
Hmm.
the capacity to receive what you want to offer her and to even give
Exactly,
it back. She doesn't have,
exactly,
and that's the
exactly,
point, because we are saying that people undermine, we play down on psychology. People don't understand
exactly.
what abuse does to people. You need
It
to
breaks
go
them.
to the mind of an abused person. I have been through abuse and I know what abuse does to you. Abuse is terrible. You know, abuse will mess with your whole life. So
I'm
when I see
telling you.
people are going through abuse, first thing is you understand that their reasoning and your reasoning is not the same.
At
There's
all.
even a reason that as a counselor, you are not expected to have any romantic relationship with somebody that is going through any form of counseling with you. The point is,
Mm.
first, that person does not have the capacity to see what you are saying, to understand it.
Mhm.
Their brains are already damaged. People think that, yeah, physical abuse, but abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, they have the capacity to alter your brain, to alter the way your brain functions. So this is a very serious issue. It's a
Yeah,
very
it
serious.
is.
Definitely can't finish this topic today. Like it's so
At
obvious.
all. The thing is
It's
vast.
really deep. It's really deep. Like
So
I
you see others now, they are going through abuse from the man, then they start transferring it to their children. That's
Exactly.
what happens.
Exactly.
When you are receiving abuse, there are reactions depending on the power dynamics in the relationship. If you're receiving abuse, you might be sending back the abuse. So in some relationship, the man is abusing you, you're abusing him back. That one,
Mm.
it exists. But there's another one. If the dynamics is, it's unequal, so the man holds higher power. If he's abusing you, you can't abuse him back. So you need to also look for somebody that is
want to
lower than you
transfer it
to
to.
give
To
your own abuse.
transfer it to.
So they pick up their children. They start abusing.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you it is discipline. I've had to caution a lot of women and tell them you are projecting, you are transferring what this man is giving to you, you're giving to the children. So even when you now walk out of the marriage, you've damaged your children. You need to go for therapy.
Exactly. And
You need
then
to
and
take
then the cycle of
care of
abuse
the body,
continues from those children.
you know. So you transfer to them, then they grow up, they are angry, they start recycling the same abuse to other people. It becomes a
Mm-hmm.
mess.
Mm-hmm.
And then
A
and
very
that's
big mess.
the religious part of us will now say, go to church, go to the mountain, go and fast. Instead of going for therapy, they'll
Not
be going
work.
to
Prayer
praying.
will not work.
See,
It
Hi.
they
will not
don't
work.
believe. You see,
I was a
my problem.
pastor when I was going through abuse. I was a pastor, an active pastor. When people see me today now and I'm not doing anything that is remotely related to ministry, they don't understand. I was a pastor. I will pray. I will fast. I will go to mountain. I will spend 1 week fasting and praying. 1 week, two
Wow.
weeks. It did not take away abuse. The abuse was
One
messing
thing,
up.
one thing, that, one of the problems. That's why I even brought it up. One of the problems that I always have with this concept is because we understand the idea of prayer, and we understand, yes, that prayer changes things and all of that. But we also understand that at some point you need to leave. When you are in a situation where you see that things are not changing, this person is continuing his abuse, this woman is still doing whatever she's doing, whatever the issues are, you leave. Nobody said you can stop praying in the next place that you went to. You can go and continue your prayer there, but you
Exactly.
don't stay there and then you are beaten to. Do
Even
you
the
know how
Bible
many
says, "Flee
ladies,
from every appearance of evil."
people
Abuse
will
is
stay,
evil.
The
see,
appearance of
people will
evil
stay
is
there and
always
be beaten to death.
not abuse.
Hi.
People will stay there and be beaten to death and say that they were praying. And I'm like, what prayer were you praying? Do you think God values the marriage above your life?
Yeah, that's what
Where did you get that idea? And then they'll tell you, oh, God hates divorce. Okay, so God loves domestic violence now. I mean, that's what he's
And
for. He's pro-violence.
that's
God is
code
like,
that
let's
that
die.
held me down for years. God
It
hates
doesn't
divorce.
work
God
this
hates,
way.
I had to start researching, like I studied the Bible, like, wait, does it mean that God wants me to die? And the day I got my clarity, it was that same place that they quote that God hates divorce. When I read it and I went to the original language, I studied it, I realized that the divorce God was referring to there was abuse.
Thank you.
It was abuse. That's what God hates. But you know now,
It
we
wasn't
just read
divorce.
the Bible vaguely. Choose
God
what
cannot
suits.
be hating divorce and also be recommending it.
Exactly.
It wasn't divorce, it was abuse.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We need to come
There are
to
questions on the in the comment section. Let me quickly. Oh, someone was
okay.
asking if we can talk. Talking about the consent in marriage. Can it be explained better? That's, I think, the consent for sex. I don't
Okay.
know where when she asked that question. But if you can just
Okay.
elaborate a little bit more, we don't even have much time left. We have just about 50,
Okay.
40 minutes more.
Consent
We don't talk tire.
is very simple. Consent. He wants to have sex and you are not in the mood or you are not feeling fine and you tell him you are not ready for it. The right thing for him to do is to leave you alone. If he goes out of, I see men, they will force themselves on you and rape you.
Yeah.
So if he does that, that means he's sexually abusing you. Consent is, I am not in the mood, one, and you need to know as a woman, you have a right to not be in the mood for sex.
Yes.
You need to know that. You have a right to just not be ready for sex. It doesn't have to be because you're sick or you're tired. You can choose not to have sex. Because even men don't have sex when they don't want to have sex. And that right
Exactly.
is not gender sensitive.
Hmm.
You as a woman, you have that right. A man has the right. You understand? We know with men now that when the woman wants sex, they will be saying, I don't want, I don't want. And when if the woman no, they will
And the
get
woman will
angry.
become
Say,
patient.
I told you, madam, leave me alone.
Wow, thank
another
you.
another thing I want to quickly say about this thing on consent is that you need to understand, for the lady that asked, especially, I'm in fact for every lady that is listening to this, you understand that if you say no and you are married and this man still goes ahead to force himself on you, you need to understand that just as he said, you've been abused, and
Yes.
this is something that you should not ignore. Okay, because if we want to be practical, I don't want to get too vivid here, but if we want to be very practical, when you physically assault somebody, when you sexually assault somebody, you will be bruised. This
Yes.
man has violated you literally, okay, physically and emotionally. It is not something you should now push under the rug and say, we're married, so let me not expose my marriage, let me not
Marriage
this man has done something horrible and it has to be addressed, because if you don't address it, it will happen again.
Again.
Just wanted to make sure I said that.
Yeah, it's really needed. Our time is fast spent. So I'll just ask one more question, and I guess we just have to end it there for today. Hopefully, there'll be a next time. Let me ask this particular one: is it advisable to go back to an abusive partner when they promise not to be abusive?
Victor is laughing. He didn't even finish the question. He was already laughing.
There was a post I made when an evil spirit leaves a man. It
I
will
think
come
another
back.
post.
I'm sure you saw that post.
I saw it.
Once you identify abuse, you leave the scene, you leave the site of abuse, because healing does not start until you leave the site of abuse. You can't heal from abuse that you are still experiencing. You understand? You cannot. So if an abuser promises that he has changed for himself. We need to put this out there. Abuse needs to be a deal breaker. Physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological, and verbal abuse. I have a book on verbal abuse. A man is discounting your feelings, your emotions. He's gaslighting you. He's undermining you. He's calling you names. He's yelling at you. It's all abuse. Because these things, they affect you. Even as a counselor, even with all my emotional strength, I know how I feel when somebody tries to gaslight me. I know how I feel when somebody discounts my feeling. It hurts. You literally feel pain in your guts. So now imagine somebody who has to deal with that every day in her marriage. So once you identify abuse, See, there is no middle ground. You go, you walk away for your sanity. There is nothing like, okay, let me manage it. Yeah, let me help him. Because this is the problem women have. Our women keep falling victims of Messiah complex. They want to save him.
They want
to fix him.
The man is abusing them. And that's why I say women in Nigeria specifically, can't exactly deal or handle a man like me, a man like Honora. You know why? There is nothing to save in us. Our lives are put. We don't need any woman to give us direction. We have focus. We don't need you to dash us money. We don't need you to do anything for us. Our lives are
just
complete.
fine.
We know where we are going. We know what we want to do in 10 years' time. Women in Nigeria will feel very, very irrelevant around us. So they go for those men who have problems and they want to heal them. They want to save them. And then they get lost. And when they get lost, they still come back to us to deliver them.
There's something that we call it missionary dating. Someone will see that a person has problems, and rather than run in the opposite direction, they will go and say they want to repair and everything. I've rarely ever, and I mean this in all sincerity, everybody listening, I've rarely ever seen a case where someone was abusive and then the person changed.
No, they don't.
Rarely ever. And even for the ones that stopped abuse, let me tell you for a fact that it was after the lady or the guy had left for quite some time.
Yes, they don't change
this person had to now go for therapy, counseling, fix themselves up. Ladies need to understand that they must insist that such a man must fix himself for himself. Don't fix it for a relationship. Don't fix it for a marriage. Fix yourself for yourself, because you should be someone that has, common sense and respect for other people. It's what an adult should have, not because of a relationship. So don't stay around saying he might change, he will change. Leave and let him change, and let him change for himself.
Let him for himself, not because of you.
Exactly.
Not so that you can come back. No.
Exactly. Because if you change exactly. Because if he says he's doing it for you, by the time a little time passes, he will go back to that same person.
Wow. He should change for himself. I think that's something everyone should actually understand. That's why this should actually go to every aspect of your life. If you want to make a change in your life, don't do it because of someone. Do it because of you, so that peradventure, if the other person changes, you are still that person, because you changed because of you. So that if the person becomes something else,
let him be faithful for himself.
Exactly.
Because he's the principle, not because he likes your face. Because that's the problem. When we say all men are potential rapists, they get angry. They don't understand. A man may not be a rapist to you as a lady, but he's a rapist to another lady.
Exactly, because that's how she's seeing him.
He's treating you well doesn't mean he's a good man. So that's it.
Wow, thank you so much. I don't know, our time is, we're actually having about just 6 minutes more, and I want to let me see if we can quickly do a little bit of justice to this. But please, before I go into that question, is it possible to have a second time to invite both of you so we can continue from where we
Sure, I'd love another chance, because this is something that I talk to a lot of people about. It's important.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for asking openly.
Set up.
Okay, let me ask this. This one, we'll just quickly do a little bit of touch on it. When a woman leaves her abuser and then she goes back, and obviously she realizes that he hasn't changed, most times these women struggle to leave again due to different reasons. What advice will you give such women if peradventure they've once left, but because the abuser painted himself to be have changed now, I'm not a good person, then they were cut back into the web, and then upon getting there they realize that hell no, you're back to restore power 2 of what you experienced before. What advice will you give them?
Now, that is because first they still wanted to believe the best of the abuser, and that's actually a trap. And like we always say, a woman will not walk out until she's convinced. She has convinced herself that there is no solution. And for you to build up the will to leave abuse, you need to speak to your brain, your mind. Your mind needs, it needs evidence. That's even the same thing you do with emotional detachment. Your mind needs evidence that this is not good for me, so that your mind can give you the strength to live. So for a woman to go back at all is because she still thinks there is a way out, there is still hope. But if she has gone back and convinced herself that there is no hope, what can affect her will be shame. She will be shy of what people. I don't want people to. I always advise seek counseling. Some women, when they want to walk out of abusive marriages, the best thing to do is seek a counselor and let the counselor support you during that period. Even before you start seeing a lawyer, let's work with a counselor, because there are many times you will go back home and then you start thinking again, and then you become scared. And then we tell you, oh yeah, don't stay back. So, but with the help of the counselor, if that fear comes, the counselor will help you expunge it by reminding you of these reasons that you actually wanted to leave. So I think that you need to seek a counselor, or you talk to anybody that is close to you, a friend or family member that is in support of you walking out of abuse. These are the type of people you should talk to. They will not shame you, they will encourage you.
Thank you so much. So, thank you. Honora, over to you.
Yeah, I'll give mine in form of an example. Some years back on Facebook, there was a post I put up. I said that as a parent, if you have a daughter who has a bad marriage, or even a daughter that doesn't necessarily have a bad marriage but is just getting married, you must make sure that you let her know that she always has a home with you. It's important to say that to your daughter, because if you tell your daughter this common thing, a lot of people say that, we've given you out so you can't come back. You've already begun to establish in her mind that she has no other place to go. Now, people may think that that is good, especially Christians, that it means that we are going to work hard on our marriage, but that's not necessarily the case. You see, that kind of thing can only make sense when the two people are matured and are working in the right direction. That's when two of them can say, you know what, we're not going anywhere. It's two of us that are going to work on this marriage. You see, it's two people. You get that's two people that are mature and doing it. But when you have one person who is an abuser, that's a dangerous mix. Because that guy now has said to himself, she's not going anywhere now. Her father will send her back. So I'm going to do whatever I want. Do you get? So now this is the funny part. When I put the post, a lady came there. She's not even married. Okay. As at then, she wasn't anywhere. I don't know if she is now, but she wasn't married, and she was like, I'm giving wrong advice to ladies. That ladies should not be thinking that they can go back to their father's house, that they should go and do their marriage well. I was like, who told you that every lady is not doing her marriage properly? Have you sat down with all of them to talk to them?
Exactly.
Did you conduct a survey to know? This post has specifically said that you should avoid saying stuff like this so you don't give the wrong impression. So that you let your daughter know that she has a home no matter what. And you are now saying I shouldn't say it because I'm encouraging. She now said I'm encouraging ladies to divorce. I said, funny enough, I've not said it. But if they have to, then let them go ahead and do so.
Do it. Wow, thank you.
The point is there should be support.
You made a point. You made a point. And we need to excuse Victor Ibn. He has an appointment, although we are rounding up. We are rounding up. Okay. So let me just round up to just buttress the points you made. And that point is that, like in my own case too, if I didn't have counselors, really, let me not lie, at some point, especially during the court case, because the court case I was meant to be just for 3 months, lasted for 1 year and 6 months. In the middle of it, at some point, I was like, I'm done. Like I was here. So, but a friend of mine said, "You have started this war, fight it to finish." That comment, each time I'm thinking of giving up, it will just come back, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we are gonna this one. We are gonna like." So it's really true to have that counselor around, even if it's not a counselor, someone who is in support of your movement. So really, I don't want to take more of our time, and because Victor has an appointment, so I won't want to
Okay.
overstretch it. Thank you so much. Be expecting me again in your inbox, and please, Uncle, no, I'll be checking your inbox.
As in my inbox right now, eh? Oh my goodness. He's all right. I'm waiting.
I'm thinking we'll likely come again next month. Please put it in mind. I'll send you a
Okay.
message. Thank you so much for today. I have to let you go so that you can go and do every other thing you want to do. Thank you. I really appreciate it. God bless you.
Yo. All right. Take care.
Okay,
Bye bye.
Laura.
Okay,
Nice.
bye.
Bye.
Okay, people, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you for joining. And yes, it was actually a it's definitely obviously not something we can finish at once. And because we already know that, as you can see, I've already discussed with them, telling them we'll come again. There are many questions I still have that I have not asked, and there are some questions popping up in my head that I'm going to add to it for our next episode. So hopefully next month we will come again. If not next month, upper month, but it's something we need to. I don't want us to rush it and just forget it there. So yes, see you again next month on the same platform for another roundtable talk with the Unbreakable Ruth. Thank you and have a lovely evening. Bye, everybody.